Hello everyone and welcome to the Fighting Game Archives, a show in which we'll take a look in my fighting game collection and show you my thoughts and opinions of games that I personally love. In our first episode of this new series, we're going to take you back to the year of 1991, where everything all began. It was a sequel so great that everyone forgot there was even a first game. Being rooted as the father of all fighting games to come, it was surely a game of its time. With its iconic roster of characters, weird botched translations, and a whole lot of updates and revisions, it was the fighting game of the early 90s that cemented itself in pop culture history and is a household name. This is Street Fighter II: The World Warrior, the greatest sequel Capcom has ever made. Now I know there's some people out there who are gonna ask the age-old question of where the fuck is Street Fighter 1? The short answer is that it exists and it's utter dog shit. If you wanted to skip over me explaining why it's dog shit, then skip to the timestamp right here. Street Fighter 1 was conceptualized in 1987, and games back in the 80s are dated yet iconic. Classics like Pac-Man, Donkey Kong, and Super Mario Bros. Hit the video game scene in the early to mid 80s, and Nintendo and Namco was in their A-game at that time. But for our beloved Street Fighter 1, that goes for the opposite. The arcade cabinet that you see here is the premium version of the first Street Fighter game, in which you have two big buttons you can punch your way through onto the machine. The strength of your punch determines whether your attack is a light, medium, or a heavy, and that control scheme is utter garbage. This machine is the worst way to play Street Fighter 1. Hell, I don't even suggest playing the first game to begin with because of how crappy it plays. Movement feels like you're dragging a picture of a video game sprite poorly on the screen, and Ryu reacts to your inputs inconsistently. The characters jot around like they're moving in and out of glue, and with the game in motion, you'll already get the feeling that this game plays like utter garbage. And even if you can't see this, just trust my word, if your eyes are working, you can tell there's something wrong with the game. Sound design of this game is, I can't even begin to describe how weird everything feels, and somehow, that charm of being weird is what makes this game kinda special in its own way. And speaking of specials, there are indeed specials in this game. Ryu has his signature Hadouken, Shoryuken, and Tatsumaki Sentokyaku, but they're so hard to input that frantically spinning the joystick is more effective than doing the move properly. His specials are pretty overpowered though, as two specials can literally kill an opponent in mere seconds in the game. I guess if it's that powerful, I might as well make the specials hard, but everything in this game is just off in all the wrong ways. Presentation-wise, the game looks... I mean, what else is there to even say about it? It just looks pretty awful. Granted, this game is like 4 decades old at this point, but it's not a game you would play to have fun. Now, the only time that this game made me laugh is whenever the player wins the match and Ryu's BitCrunch dialogue of him saying, whatever that was, gave me a light chuckle out of me. But overall, this game blows, and the only reason for you to play this is just to appreciate its existence and nothing else but that. That being said, now that you know the weird existence of SF1, we're jumping onto the most iconic game to ever grace the arcades. Man, that intro is just so timeless, and I love it. Saying Street Fighter 2 blew up is an understatement. I mean, Street Fighter now is pretty popular, but compared to back then, everyone was into this game. You got people lining up in the arcades, waiting to fight against other people in this arcade machine. And that's what makes it so unique to other games at that time, is that you're competing with the people around you. It helps build this community of people learning and trying to one-up each other, culminating into this ever-growing popularity in Japan and in the West. Capcom's sequel was so successful they forgot how to count to 3 for half a decade. They even went back to 0, or Alpha as we call it, just to delay the third entry. Though, unlike Half-Life, Capcom eventually learned how to count to 3, but we'll come back to that another time. Street Fighter 2's controls are simple to understand. You got 6 buttons, and half of those buttons are for punch and for kick, with light, medium, and heavy variations. Doing specials in this game is way better than SF1, with the game being able to register inputs consistently. You can now chuck your Hadoukens, Sonic Booms, and Shoryukens as much as you wanted to. This game is a lot better to play, and it's not just that. The roster of characters in this game is a massive improvement compared to the first, with Ryu and Ken returning from the first Street Fighter game alongside 6 other iconic world warriors that will help shape this series' identity as a whole. Now, with the success of Street Fighter, everyone in the gaming industry wants to take a piece of the fighting game pie, with SNK looking to release a certain game to rival Street Fighter's dominance, which will culminate into one of the best rivalries of all time. Now, I revisited this game in the Street Fighter 30th Anniversary Collection, and I gotta say, it did held up surprisingly well. Despite its age, the game itself looked timeless, and I wouldn't mind playing this from time to time whenever I wanted to play something retro. Now, compared to the follow-ups to the series, the original World Warriors is pretty sluggish, and later releases of SF2 are more replayable than the original World Warrior. But if you wanted to appreciate Street Fighter's history, then I wouldn't mind recommending you to play SF2. Though, fair warning, I would really recommend for you to bring a friend along to play with than against these bloody CPUs, as they are specifically made to suck out your quarters. Is he gonna just keep chucking that? Is he gonna stop? Is he gonna stop? Oh, for fuck's sake! Though personally, if you just want a good version of SF2, boot up Hyper Street Fighter 2 in the Capcom Fighting Collection, since that game has tons of options and more characters. It's a perfect way to replay a game that once took the world by storm. Now, would I consider this to be the greatest fighting game of all time? To be honest, with how games evolved and how much impact this had on the video game industry, it is a top contender, but in my personal opinion, it will forever be the game that defined what a fighting game truly is. It is one of the greatest video game sequels that Capcom has ever made, and personally, the genre wouldn't be the same without the existence of Street Fighter 2. I'd like to know if you had any experiences or at least heard about this game growing up in the comments below. Until then, button mashers, this is your host, Plap, and I'll see you all next week. Next week on the Fighting Game Archives.